Lindsay.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. And Deputy Speaker, it's wonderful to see you here today as a fellow comrade from Western Sydney. Well, Deputy Speaker, I'm here to ask a question for the Minister from Social Services, and I would like to applaud his work in this portfolio and applaud his work as being a Minister of this government over nearly the past 2 years. But, Deputy Speaker, as you know, being a native of Western Sydney, we are home to some of the youngest families in Australia. In fact, Lindsay is the 10th youngest electorate in the country, with a median age of 32. More than 50,000 households have dependent children. More than 50% of households have dependent children. As a result, the government has spent considerable time in the electorate launching a $40 billion package over the next 4 years to give the nation's 1.2 million families better access to childcare. Part of the package is to assist up to 240,000 extra families back into the workforce. This is great news. As such, measures like the $246 million package, a two-year pilot nanny scheme has been announced in the electorate of Lindsay, which you, Deputy Speaker, were also there on that day. Now, this scheme has been seen with a lot of applause from the local shift worker community who are looking to keep into their jobs and be able to provide work for their children and have the choices as to what they need for their families. And I think that's really important, and that's what's so wonderful about the scheme that the Minister has provided. This is about giving people and giving families opportunity to be able to work rather than steal them away from people. We're providing people opportunity. But, Deputy Speaker, we've received a lot of feedback from the community, and I'd really like to share with you some of the feedback that has come into my office. For instance, Hannah Redwood Blundy, who posted on my Facebook page, "I think this is wonderful. I was working in family daycare and often had trouble in placing children for nurses, police, doctors and others, even right down to counsellors. Nannies give great consistent care at hours that many childcare and family daycare services do not offer." But it's more than just nannies. It's widespread reform to deliver affordable and fair childcare right across the board. More people will get more access through a fairer distribution of rebates. Deputy Speaker, these new measures in place will make it possible for every 4-year-old to attend childcare, and that's wonderful news. For instance, another local lady has contacted my office, Lyndall Callaghan, who works as a childcare teacher and has a 3-month-old daughter. And it was at an announcement with the Prime Minister, the Minister for Social Services and the Minister for Education recently, where these measures were welcomed. And she said, "Early childcare is the foundation of lifelong learning. It sets them up, the children, it sets them up for the future, and early childhood and preschool teaching is very important for children's literacy and numeracy skills." She is not alone. The overwhelming response has been very, very positive to the reforms. Recently, we surveyed the electorate, extensively telephone canvassing many people, and you know what? The messages were loud and clear. People liked the quality care and they were wanting to see more simplicity right across the system, and that is what the Minister is doing. Another lady that we spoke to, Vicky Sculiogenius, who operates the Mulgoa Preschool and the Asaland Cottage Preschool, and she tells me that she welcomes the new initiatives of flexibility for both parents and their service providers. This will provide more options for children through these important stages of their life. Moreover, Bianca and Norm Merchand from Mulgoa welcome the single streamlined payment for their families. They say it will make it easier to understand and apply for assistance as compared to the old CCB and CCR system. While Renee Sophie from Mitchenbury tells me, "As a single mum, I'm happy to see the safety net provided for me at those times when I'm between jobs. I will still be able to continue with childcare under this initiative." Carly Riddell from Glenmore Park takes another approach. "I'm happy to see the immunisation changes will further protect my 5-year-old preschooler, which is comforting to the years with my newborn ahead." Now, Deputy Speaker, my question to the Minister for Social Services is about how the Abbott Government is assisting families in both my electorate with more affordable, accessible and flexible childcare.
Thank the member, and I call the Minister for Social Services.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker, and I thank the member for Lindsay for her question and her comments. And I remember the member and I being together when we announced the program for the in-home nannies pilot program, which we hope will be able to commence in January of next year. This is an important program because it assists those families that currently can't access mainstream childcare and the subsidies that are provided as part of that program. They're shift workers, Madam Speaker, they're nurses, they're police officers, they are those who are working in some of the most key occupations in our community and our society. And this is one of the key areas that were identified in the course of the Productivity Commission inquiry, and we decided that we were going to focus our program on trying to address the needs of those who the system currently wasn't addressing. And that's why we're very pleased to have the nannies pilot. We're very pleased to have the nannies pilot, and we're very pleased to receive the support of those like the Police Association and others who we're working closely with now to work towards implementation of this plan. And I want to commend those opposite who have been engaged with us in working on the Jobs for Families package, on the childcare package, although it's quite clear we don't agree that you actually have to pay for things that you want to do in government. We, at least I think, have broad agreement on the package of measures that we're seeking to reform the childcare system with, and there have been constructive discussions on that. I'm not seeking to in any way imply the support of the opposition on those measures, but I think there's been genuine discussion on them, and I thank the member for Adelaide in particular and the member for Jagga for their engagement as we work through those processes. But the Jobs for Families package at its heart is trying to give the 48% or thereabout of families who have said, not only in work conducted by the government but in other places, they want to work more. That could be a few hours a day, that could be an extra day a week, it could be going back to work altogether. And we want to be able to make that choice more achievable for those families. And to do that, you've got to have quality childcare, and as those opposite will know, we have maintained the support for the National Quality Framework. We have done that for the National Quality Framework, and if those opposite want to turn something where there's clearly bipartisanship to support families into a partisan slanging match, well, that would reflect on them. What I'm saying is we are working together, I think, at least on the expenditure side on this matter, to ensure that those families who want to work more, who want a different set of choices for them and their families, then what we're doing with the changes to the childcare arrangements will enable them to do just that. The other area we were focused on very strongly is in the area of the childcare safety net. And the opportunities here are very significant. The childcare safety net package deals with some of the most disadvantaged children in our society and right across the country, whether it's Indigenous children or those from incredibly disadvantaged backgrounds, whether it's children at risk, families fleeing abuse, families involved with family domestic violence, all of these areas, children with profound disabilities. There is additional support and more targeted support for those families, for families in remote and rural communities who need this support. This is what this package delivers. It provides a mainstream subsidy which supports the mainstream of families to exercise their choice to be able to work more. That's not a welfare payment, that's a subsidy provided to the providers of services to reduce the cost of childcare. You only get the subsidy if you're seeking to consume the service. And the other thing we've done in that process, Mr Deputy Speaker, is to apply a tougher activity test to that. Now, we all understand the value and importance of early childhood education, and we have spent more in this package than the federal government has ever spent in this area to support that goal. That's what we've done, but we've also gone further in terms of the universal access commitment of funding to the states, something that was not in the forward estimates from the previous government and had to be funded as a new measure in this budget, just like with the partnership agreement on homelessness. So in this package, we are supporting mainstream families to exercise their choice to work more and to be able to support themselves more, to achieve that financial independence that they want for their families. For those who are seriously disadvantaged, we're giving them more support too, Mr Deputy Speaker, through this package, and that is facilitating a choice for those families that they may not have ever realised they ever had, and that's a good thing to do. And we're extending the reach of this program to support those families who currently can't get access because of the nature of that work. That's why the Jobs for Families package will deliver jobs for families.
The minister's time has expired. I call the member for